Hello, amazing, beautiful people. I am so excited to be back here again. And today I just wanted to talk. Oh my goodness, this is it. It is the 12th episode of our first series. So we're going to wrap up with one of my favorite topics, loved or unloved. And I'm pretty sure most of us want to be loved. So there's nothing like, for me, going into hospital for day surgery, only to find out that while it's keyhole surgery for the entry points, it's actually major surgery internally. And it's going to take a good 4 to 6 weeks for me to heal and recover. That was not the news I was wanting, just quietly, when I went for my pre-op stuff. So it was like, oh, this really hit me as how I could see this as a time of feeling unloved or loved. And I had to make a choice, but it actually gave me a wonderful time to reflect on how I felt the last time I went for surgery, which was about 10 years ago. So it was a while ago. But the old Sally back then would have been worried, anxious, stressed, and feeling super alone on this journey, feeling very much unloved and uncared for. And so I kind of, in my head, back in the day, in my head, my story was that no one cares whether you go in or you come out at the other end. And quite frankly, that's probably actually how I felt. That it didn't matter, everyone else would survive. I wasn't really worth anything to anyone. I had to sort it all out for myself and not burden anybody else with my issues. Like, what the heck? I look back now and I'm like, oh, but actually, that's how I felt. It was like I wasn't worthy, no one really cared. And so, therefore, who was I to burden myself with, oh, would you mind picking my kids up from school or any chance you could make me a meal or whatever? I was like, no, none of that. You just had to get on with it. Suck it up, Sal. It was a secondhand service because we didn't have the money. We chose not to have insurance to pay and go private. So, that feeling of secondhand, I mean, I look back and I'm like, oh, I just want to cringe. But anyway, that is exactly where I felt I was, like at the bottom of the pile. And what if something went wrong and I couldn't pick up my kids or look after them? Like that was a real genuine worry for me, is not being able to look after my kids. They were something like 3 and 5 or something. I can't, they might have been a bit older than that at that time, but they were certainly at primary school. And my family were overseas. And actually, I wasn't really part of my husband's family. And that's how I felt. Might not have been the truth, but it was how I felt. And asking for help, I'd always been told, was a sign of weakness. So I think I've been brought up where, again, we didn't have extended family, we didn't have a lot of friends. Mum and moved around a lot. So to be honest, I hadn't had any models about anyone ever caring or helping or being there, because that wasn't my past. And for those of you who get the honor to read the book, you'll find that out pretty fairly squarely. So the list was endless about my pit of doom every time. I was choosing to feel unloved. I was choosing that way. And yes, that probably is what the world had thrown at me. But while I told myself that, that's actually what happened. Because I told myself I was unloved. Because I didn't tell anybody I was going in for an operation. Nobody could help. Somebody's like, it's pretty straightforward. Not one person visited me last time or offered to help. Why? Because I didn't flip and tell them, like, nah. Anyway, I was in and out like a flash, picking up my kids the following day, still under the effects of anesthetic, even though I didn't know that at the time, feeling very unloved, alone. And I just soldiered on, just got on with them. So, what's the difference between being in that space and where I am about to go into surgery? Actually, by the time you get this video, I will almost be 6 days out. But, at the end of the day, I didn't want to leave this until I'd actually had my surgery, because it was like, what? I don't know what's going to happen. So, let's be prepared. Let's honor you and give you something that's encouraging. And, because I don't know where I'm going to be at this time next week. So, how does the new Sally feel? And what are her loving words going to be going into surgery this time? Well, first of all, I feel loved, I feel chosen, I feel cared for. I've had about 3 meetings with surgeons and, the lady who's looking after the anesthetic and the lovely nurse that I met last week that was checking everything to make sure everything was all good. I'm feeling really blessed. I'm feeling like I am having a first-class service. So I'm like, yay. The nurses and surgeons have all been clear with what's happening. They've asked me questions. They've asked if I want to know anything. They've given me contact details if I have anything. Like, I feel like, like they're like friends. It's weird. They're clearly not. But I feel very different. My husband's taking the day off work and he'll take me there. Bonus. Didn't have that last time, just quietly. And then also, different husband, by the way. But anyway, we're not going to go there. And we'll be there after this, before and after the surgery. So I just know that he's going to be there, which is super cool. I feel so blessed to have that. Many of the surgeons and the staff work in both sectors. It's not about being secondhand. Like, what the heck? Some of them have chosen to work purely in the public sector. Some are in both spaces. They're all excellent. They've chosen to do this. They studied for goodness knows how many years to come and do this stuff. They are excellent at their jobs and in their roles. And I'm genuinely in the best hands possible. How much more loved and chosen could I feel? I also have let those around me know, only because when I went last week and she said, oh, yeah, I suppose day surgery, I'll be in and out like I was last time in a day, like maybe overnight for one night so the anesthetic can wear off. And she goes, yeah, maybe. She said, the keyhole stuff is, that's fairly straightforward. But what's going on inside, you're going to, your insides are going to be cut and ripped up. Brilliant. I'm really looking forward to that. Just quietly I went, oh. And she goes, yeah, you won't be driving for 4 to 6 weeks. And I went, oh, I'm really glad you've told me that, because I just hadn't taken that into consideration. And I went, oh, probably won't be playing tennis then, will I? I was thinking, oh, stretching, yeah, that's not going to be helpful. I'm probably not going to be going to strength rooms either. So what's been so beautiful and awesome about having these conversations and people preparing me for surgery is I've been able to prepare others as well and say, hey, look, is anyone there to cover me for tennis? I hadn't expected that the surgery was going to be so impactful. And so people have been able to play tennis in my space. That's given them a space. Or, in the strength rooms, Pete will see some different people that can sit in my slot, which is great because it clears space for others. So it's kind of been quite cool to plan ahead, and not that I don't feel like, oh my goodness, I'm letting people down. Oh my goodness, I'm planning ahead and going, actually, and I've said, look, if I feel better, I'll be back, but let's cover in case. And then, I work on the worship team, and there's a few other things where I serve in those spaces. And people have offered me meals. My bestest buddy, bless her heart, has offered to taxi me to Lindisfarne to the school that I go and work with once a week. And I am going to take her up on that, actually, just because I get to catch up with her more than anything. And then also others have actually helped to do the housework. You know what? I am never going to say no to somebody coming and cleaning my house for me or bringing me a meal. I think that's fantastic. And it'll be, great for Kev as well, because he will be having to hold a bit of the fort. It won't be for long. And I'm sure I'll be perfectly capable of getting up and making a salad or whatever. But you know what? I'm not going to say no. It makes me feel so treasured and loved. It's awesome. And my children, they've left home now. They're not here. I don't have to look after them. They're perfectly capable of looking after themselves. But they have been, bringing up, how's it going, Mum? Are you ready? What do we need to do? And keeping in touch. So I am feeling very different this time to how I felt last time. And the outcomes are so different. I would have been blaming, nobody cares, that awful stuff that takes you down a really unhelpful route, because I didn't tell anybody, because that was a story in my head. Now my story in my head is actually people do love and they do care and they actually probably want to help. So who am I to stop them? Just quietly. Anyway, so love is a choice, unloved is a choice, and you get to make it. So we get to choose. Both options are there. It's like good or bad, black or white. They're both there. But the reality is that our worlds are the ones that we choose to live in. So we can choose to live in one where we feel unloved, or we can choose to live in one where we feel loved. And you can choose your best, loving those around you, or you can choose to cut yourself off. It's all how you decide to be. And often it's here in your heart and in your head. Funny that I'm an alignment coach, because when this heart and head is in alignment, our lives are so much better. So this opportunity has given me the chance to, this operation has given me the opportunity to just reflect on Samuel Gibson's quote. The choices we make determine the directions our lives take and the people we become. So choosing love over unloved has massively shifted my life from one of anxiety, worry, stress, and loneliness. I was really alone 10 years ago, very lonely, to one of joy, peace, rest, hope, connection, fun, and adventure. I am so looking forward to blessing the people I am with, the poor souls that will be in the same room as me when I come out of my surgery. You know what? I'll be wanting to love on them. I'll be wanting to pray for them. I'll be wanting to just be, like it'll be. So I am really looking forward to this adventure. I think it's going to be hilarious. But the only flip between the two, between loved and unloved, is the choice to honor and respect and love. So right now, I just encourage you to consider what it is that you are choosing. Are you choosing to love yourself and others, or are you choosing not to? Are you embracing connection with others, or are you trying to disconnect? Because you know what? It all starts here, and it all starts with us. And if any of this has resonated and you are in that unloved space, I really encourage you, get in touch, reply to this email, send me a message, or on YouTube, whatever the situation is, but get in touch, because I love taking people from where I was to where I am now, to being unstoppable, which we talked about last week. Bring it on for you to have the best days of your life and make the rest of your life the best of your life. I wish you all the very best. I will be giving you a full update on how the op has gone, because next time, that's exactly where I'll be post-op. So have an amazing, God-blessed week. I love you all and look forward to seeing you very soon.